HG Roasts. Omid Scobie. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. Omid Scobie. High time for him to be roasted. We don't see that much of old Scabies, or as I call him, the plastic-faced lieutenant, the lick-spittle lieutenant of this one's wife, as he appears to have lost favour with the Sussexes. There once was a time that you could barely move for him popping up, all waxy and plastic-faced in the press and on television, holding forth with the latest leak that had been placed with him as he trumpeted on behalf of this one's wife. He was involved, as we know, in the creation of that laughable text, Finding Dollars, Funding Freedom, Finding Freedom, which, if you'd like to hear my acerbic taking apart of it, you can grab some extra episodes by going to the Knowledge Vault and finding my hilarious takedown of various sections of it. He partnered with Carolyn Durant, who was so embarrassed by the collaboration she's been never heard of ever again. She hasn't done anything and never been seen, presumably having become a recluse as a consequence of the deep-seated shame that she felt as having collaborated in the production of that absolute steaming pile of shite. I've certainly given a good kicking to Omid Scobie from time to time when covering this one's wife from the past, but it was appropriate for him now to be given a good old roasting by your glorious narrator, with the risk that he's likely to melt in the way that the Nazis did in the final scenes of Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Scobie. Where does one even begin with this preening peacock of the press, this self-anointed oracle of the ostracised? Picture, if you will, a man who struts through the corridors of celebrity gossip like a budget Bond villain, all slick hair and arched eyebrows that could slice through a royal protocol manual. But beneath that veneer of faux sophistication lurks a creature of exquisite absurdity, a journalist who fancies himself a revolutionary, yet whose greatest talent appears to be polishing the boots of those who barely deign to notice him anymore. Omid, dear boy, you are the epitome of the hanger-on who mistakes proximity for power, the court jester who thought he was the crown prince. And now, as the Sussex's spotlight has dimmed on you, you're left juggling your own delusions in the dark. How utterly, hilariously, deliciously tragic. Let's start with the vanity, shall we? Because if there's one thing that Scobie embodies, it's the kind of self-obsession that makes Narcissus look like a modest monk. This is a man who in a 2020 interview casually shaved 6 years off his age, claiming to be 33 when he was pushing 39. Oh, the horror of hitting that dreaded 4-0 in an industry where youth is currency. He later confessed it stemmed from a little insecurity about aging, as if admitting to such a fib makes him relatable rather than ridiculous. Imagine the internal monologue. Darling, the camera adds £10 in apparently 6 years. Mustn't let the peasants know I'm mortal. And those eyebrows, liebrows, they call him on the savage streets of social media, a nickname that perfectly captures both his penchant for fabrication and his meticulously groomed arches that scream, I woke up like this, after 2 hours with a stylist. Omid, you parade your polished exterior like it's an armour, but it's really just a thin layer of concealer over a chasm of self-doubt. You live in a rented Hollywood Hills house with your French bulldog, Yoshi, hopelessly single as you put it. Yet you project this image of urbane glamour. Single, perhaps because potential partners tire of competing with your mirror for attention. Your vanity isn't just skin deep, it's the foundation of everything, a glittering edifice built on lies about your own timeline. How fitting for a man who twists royal timelines for a living. But vanity alone doesn't make a roast. Oh no, it's the hypocrisy that turns the skewer. Scobie, you pontificate from your perch about the evils of the monarchy, decrying their excesses while indulging in your own. Remember that Instagram post of you lounging on a private jet, champagne in hand, looking every bit the eco-hypocrite? You deleted it faster than a royal aide scrubs a scandal after being called out, admitting the folly, but only after the damage was done. You rail against the royal family's carbon footprint in your books, Yet there you were, jet-setting like a Sussex on a Monty Shit Show jaunt. And the aged lie? That's not just vanity. It's hypocrisy incarnate. You accuse the royals of fabricating narratives, King Charles with his alleged iron shoelaces, Prince William as a gossip monger. Yet you fabricate your own birth certificate for a soundbite. In Endgame, or Bell Endgame, you paint the palace as a den of deceit. But who was it leaking letters between this one's wife and Charles, dripping with selective outrage? You! The truth challenged troubadour. Critics like Piers Morgan have eviscerated you for it, calling you a lick-spittle who lies about everyone, including him. You claim communications with Queen Camilla that never happened, then backpedal like a courtier caught in a privy. Hypocrisy? It's your brand, bottled and sold alongside your books that flop harder than a royal wave gone wrong. Fighting Freedom sold 31,000 copies in its first week. Endgame managed a measly 6,488. The public sniffed out your double standards, the way you decry media intrusion while feeding the beast with your own venomous vignettes. Speaking of venom, let's delve into the ridiculous that defines you, Scobie. Your books read like fan fiction penned by a spurned admirer, full of lurid claims that crumble under scrutiny. Charles has starfire in his shoelaces, William is a hot-headed schemer, Kate is a cold calculator. These aren't insights, they're the fever dreams of a man desperate for relevance. Raw sources dismiss them as nonsense, and rightly so. You're comical alley in a tailored suit insisting the palace is collapsing while the royals carry on unfazed. The Dutch edition of Endgame fiasco? Pure gold! You accidentally named Charles and Kate as the so-called royal racists in a draft sent to publishers, then blamed a translation error. The publisher disputed it, and suddenly you're the victim of unfair attacks and character assassination. Oh, the irony. You assassinate characters for a living, yet cry foul when the blade turns. And your TV appearances? As royal contributor for ABC News, you host podcasts like AirPod, spouting analysis that is about as deep as a palace puddle. You left Us Weekly after a decade as European bureau chief, then bounced to Harper's Bazaar. Always the bridemaid, never the bride in the journalism game. Your career is a series of side gigs, each more peripheral than the last. Then in 2024, you're pivoting to a TV series called Royal Spin, claiming it's not about this one's wife. How convenient. After years of riding her coattails and imagining a cry wank in relation to her, you are suddenly independent. You're ridiculous. You're a plastic pom-pom cheerleader for causes that abandon you as you stand there, crying to yourself, waving your pom-poms in an empty stadium. But the pièce de résistance, the cherry on this Sunday of Schadenfreude, is your arse-licking devotion to this one's wife, only to be unceremoniously dropped like yesterday's tiara. Oh, Scobie, you were her knight in shining armour, her scribe in the shadows. Finding Freedom, apparently co-authored with the embarrassed and shamed Carolyn Durant, but everyone knows it was ghostwritten with this one's wife's input via a third party. Briefing notes, selective leaks about her half-sister Samantha that painted her as a dropout with kids from different men, all to shame and defame. You denied it at first, but court documents revealed the truth. This one's wife fed you the fodder. You defended her fiercely, portraying her as the victimized visionary, the modern Diana wronged by the archaic firm. In interviews, you insisted she's not your friend. Nobody believed that. But you were her mouthpiece, her echo chamber, amplifying every grievance from the Oprah interview to the Netflix docuseries. You trashed the royals to elevate her. Kate as the mean girl, William as the bully, while this one's wife nodded in approval from Monty Shit Show, reaping the PR awards. And then, the fallout. By late 2023, as Bell Endgame bombed and the Dutch debacle exploded, Harry and this one's wife distanced themselves faster than you can say royal racist. Sussex insiders told the Mail Online they had nothing to do with the book, leaving you twisting in the wind. You, who had been their loyal lapdog, find yourself suddenly persona non grata. Oh, the pain of rejection must be exquisite. Your ex-posts now scrape for likes, barely 50, on race-baiting rants since the Duchess dropped you. Social media sees that you're struggling, your relevance waning like a forgotten hashtag. In 2024, with your new series featuring a very handsome Duke, not Harry, it's clear you've been ignored, sidelined, ghosted by the very individuals you idolised. This one's wife, the feminist humanitarian, used you to sling mud at her sister, details meant to humiliate, and you, morally bereft and ethically bankrupt, were ready to do this like the arse-licking toad that you are. You denied involvement until busted. You took the heat, you took the lawsuits, the mockery, and for what? A pat on the head and a one-way ticket to obscurity. This one's wife wouldn't even squat to piss on you if you were on fire. Imagine the scene. You, Scobie, scrolling through your feed, seeing this one's wife's Christmas cards released without your spin, and you certainly don't receive one. Her brand floundering without your hype. She nods, she smiles, but she's not really there for you, is she? Your mutual friends? Silent. Your access? Revoked. It's the ultimate wound. Being rejected and disengaged from. You thought you were indispensable. You thought you were the Sussex Whisperer, but you're just another tool in her kit, blunt and disengaged from. Used. How does it feel being the bootlicker who got the boot? Your hypocrisy shines here as well. You slam the royals for abandoning family, yet this one's wife abandoned you after you did her dirty work. Ridiculous? Absolutely. You're the jilted lover penning poison letters, hoping for a callback which will never come. And vanity rears its groomed head once again. You, with your Hollywood Hills perch, thought you were part of the inner circle, the glamorous expat chronicling the exile. But this one's wife's circle shrank, and you were fat-trimmed. Yes, imagine that. Such a vain individual that probably watches everything that he eats, but you were trimmed like the fat that you abhor. Now you're pivoting to TV deals, trying to get 6 figures for Royal Spin, insisting that it's broader than the Sussex. Liar, liar, fake brows on fire. It's a desperate rebound. You're a man clinging to the fringes of fame. The public laughs. Reddit eviscerates your pettiness. YouTube channels dub you liebrows, selling out the Queen. You are a hypocrite. You're a walking punchline, Scobie, a vitriolic vignette of failed ambition. Your books are bargain bin fodder, your claims refuted, your loyalty unrewarded. You've arse-licked your way to irrelevance. And then some more. Ignored. Told, in effect, to fuck off. You're a hypocrite, you're ridiculous, and you're vain. Off you go to the void, and take your manicured eyebrows with you.